want to believe," he said while walking side by side with the red-headed skeptic. "We all want to believe in something. Those things we cannot see, the things that go bump in the night, whether it's ghosts, aliens, other dimensions, magic, miracles, the paranormal. Plenty of movies and series feature this. Here's 10 of them. The Black Phone is a 2022 paranormal thriller that effectively uses the Stranger Things aesthetic and puts it in the late 70s. We follow a little kid and his sister as they deal with their sometimes abusive drunk father who never got over the insanity and death of his wife. When kids start disappearing from the town, snatched by a van with black balloons, the kid jumps into action. At least until he gets kidnapped himself and gets locked up with a phone that rings when the other, murdered, kids wish to help him escape. Oh, and his sister has dreams of this all cause her mother was also psychic. And the bad guy, played by Ethan Hawke donned in a variety of two-piece masks, likes to beat kids to death. 'Cause beating kids with belts is bad, okay? Anyways, stuff happens. Paranormal stuff, normal stuff. It's okay, but nothing special. Nothing we haven't seen before and nothing as exciting as a Freddy Krueger-esque figure or a Pennywise. At least they used a yellow raincoat this time too. Simple thriller with a lot of style but alas, not enough substance. A fast food flick. Check that. Rec3 Genesis is a 2012 Spanish horror film and third film in the Rec trilogy. Loyal viewers might remember my review on the previous two Rec films, leaving me disappointed and unimpressed about the mostly shaky cam zombie first then demon bullshit that it was. Rec 3 however changes that and mostly drops the whole found footage, shaky cam crap and gives us a movie. We are invited to experience a couple's marriage. A very lavish marriage that would bankrupt multiple normal families, but apparently these two lovebirds are rich as fuck. For the most part of the first half we see the hustle and bustle of guests arriving, partying, drinking, the drunk uncle getting more and more inebriated, some flirting between guests, regular stuff, and then Uncle Benji needs to vomit all while in the back weird people with chemical suits are checking out stuff. It doesn't take long for shit to hit the fan, and once the first infected person pops up it goes from 0 to 100 in a few seconds. From that moment on it's a survival of our two lovebirds as they try to stay alive and more so unpossessed while trying to get back to each other. People drop left and right and it does interesting things with the zombie demons for which the groundwork was laid in the previous film, and all this without excessive shaking camera, running around with camera, stupid CCTV cuts and loud and obnoxious shouting. Hell, the victims aren't all stupid cowards either, and there's some funny moments in there to liven things up. Rec 3 to me was by far the most enjoyable of the three. After the first one, which was novel for its own sake, still not one of the best zombie or demon flicks I've seen, but I'm already glad this one wasn't a stink like the second one. Check that. Incantation is a Taiwanese horror film about a woman who was cursed after breaking a religious taboo. Unfortunately for her, she now has to deal with said curse and protecting her daughter. The movie starts with the woman apologizing, as this is one of those cursed video kind of films that make you think that you, the viewer, will also be cursed just for watching the film, like The Ring or Yuan, but different Yano. Anyways, if you didn't turn it off before she talked to you, then it was already too late, so I guess you're stuck trying to figure out how to get out of it. Tough luck. You are truly cursed now being forced to watch this film. Great marketing trick though, all jokes aside. There's some genuinely creepy stuff going on there. It didn't fully get under my skin nor made the inexistent hair on my skin rise, but it was almost there. The unhinged mother slowly deteriorates throughout the film, fighting visions and demons seducing her young daughter. Like most of these Asian horror films, there's plenty of subplots to remember, and that usually all culminates at the end for the conclusion. Most of the movie, however, plays out from one side of a seemingly abusive mother versus the mother actually being tormented by demons. Incantation became the highest grossing Taiwanese horror film of all time in 2022, though I think that we're past all this stuff with the invention of streaming and other methods of watching media. It's a good movie though, with an interesting premise and conclusion and a whole lot of an oh geez what the hell in between. Oh, and that throat singing song performed at the beginning and the end is some good stuff. Oh wow, ow wow, creepy, so creepy. Check that. The Book of Blood is one of the many books by Master of Horror Clive Barker that has been brought to the big screen, or at least the TV screen as VHS. Book of Blood tells the tale of a woman and her cameraman that hunt down paranormal activity. When a certain person tells them they have contact with the dead in a certain house, they go out to seek the truth. What they find there is a whole bunch of weird stuff. Where's the book, you may ask? Well, it'll be revealed eventually, and by that time you'll wonder what the hell you spent your time watching. This movie feels like one of those stupid reality TV shows where these nitwits go hunt for ghosts, act all crazy and eventually find nothing. Luckily it isn't filmed in a mockumentary style without shaky cam or all of that crap. And luckily these people actually experience some weird stuff, at least, kinda, until the actual weird stuff happens. After plenty of horror cliches, the movie, at that point, gets a little bit more interesting, but by then it's too late and Barker's typical BDSM body horror is a little too late. If you really want to see Book of Blood, then I suggest watching the 2020 anthology series Books of Blood instead. It's still not super, but it's much better than this in my book. Ah ha 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 ha. Reviewers and their puns. Amazing. Drop that. Dead Silence is a horror film that brings back the true blood drool boy Ryan Quentin, who made plenty of panties wet in a slightly less sexy role where he plays a guy who at one point gets a delivery. That delivery? A creepy doll. This wouldn't be a horror if that creepy doll didn't gruesomely kill his fiancée in the most violent and creepy way. Normal people and robots like me would dig a ditch and burn the fucker right after that, but not our protagonist. No, he tries to find out what and why and ends up back in his hometown where he discovers that not only is a young hot mom all of a sudden, but that this isn't the first time such a gruesome murder has occurred. And so we find out piece by piece what is happening. Bodies drop, and yes, it's the doll. A ventriloquist doll. We get backstory, flashbacks, ghostly and ghastly apparitions, and an annoying detective who pops up as much as the doll does. Dead Silence is a typical horror film, nothing special, and you can see the end coming from a mile away, at least. The first ending, the second ending, after you let your guard down patting yourself on the back for realizing the obvious, shanks you in the back and leaves you gasping. I wouldn't call Dead Silence great horror, but it's fun and novel enough to stand on its own next to classics such as Chucky and to a lesser extent all of the other creepy doll flicks like Annabelle and The Boy. Check that. Hellbender is a 2022 indie horror film with a pretty cool cover that reminded me of The Witch and other great new horror flicks, so I went to check it out not knowing what to expect. The first scene we see a person being hung by what appears to be ye olde Americans. The victim made me think it was probably a witch or something. Fast forward, we visit a woman and her daughter, who are living a quiet and peaceful life in the woods. Something, however, is off, as both mother and daughter seem to be pretty recluse and very in touch with nature. Too in touch even, and the teenage daughter, being a teen, wants to discover the world. Oh no, you say, mother-daughter drama, we've seen it before. And we have. But this, my goodness. This goes places. Dark places. Cool places. And it does so in a particularly awesome way. From the way it looks, the music used, the cinematography and the acting, which in places is clearly of the independent nature. It's all very well done. So well this almost doesn't feel like an independent movie. I loved it so much that I went looking for more info, and I was aghast that this film and everything around it is made by a family. This very artistic family makes music, movies, art, the works. The daughter is even a Gucci model. A family so artistic I was a little bit jealous for not being a part of it. Hellbender isn't the first movie these people made either, but it's definitely their latest and and best in my opinion. It's a tale of mother and daughter, their relationship with each other, nature and the occult powers that are around them. And it's fucking great. If you like The Witch, then you'll like this. Although this is much more modern with the looks and music. But goddamn, I needed more from this family, and I did. As for Hellbender, go watch it. Smash that. Incantation is a Taiwanese horror film about a woman who was cursed after breaking a religious taboo. Unfortunately for her, she now has to deal with said curse and protecting her daughter. The movie starts with the woman apologizing, as this is one of those cursed video kind of films that make you think that you, the viewer, will also be cursed just for watching the film, like The Ring or Yuan, but different, Yano. Anyways, if you didn't turn it off before she talked to you, then it was already too late, so I guess you're stuck trying to figure out how to get out of it. Tough luck. You are truly cursed now, being forced to watch this film. Great marketing trick though, all jokes aside. There's some genuinely creepy stuff going on there. It didn't fully get under my skin nor made the inexistent hair on my skin rise, but it was almost there. The unhinged mother slowly deteriorates throughout the film, fighting visions and demons seducing her young daughter. Like most of these Asian horror films, there's plenty of subplots to remember, and that usually all culminates at the end for the conclusion. Most of the movie, however, plays out from one side of a seemingly abusive mother versus the mother actually being tormented by demons. Incantation became the highest grossing Taiwanese horror film of all time in 2022, though I think that we're past all this stuff with the invention of streaming and other methods of watching media. It's a good movie though, with an interesting premise and conclusion and a whole lot of an oh geez what the hell in between. Oh, and that throat singing song performed at the beginning and the end is some good stuff. Oh wow, ow wow, creepy, so creepy. Drop that. The Deeper You Dig is from the same family that brought me Hellbender, where Hellbender is there, if I'm not mistaken, sixth film. This is their fifth. The style is clear from the beginning, so I was eager to see if this was great as well. A young mother and her daughter are living in one of the more snowy states in the United States. She is a pseudo-psychic using her skills to get money out of the pockets of people who wish answers. Her daughter is a punky rebel teen who isn't that fond of school. Their relationship is good, however, but all that gets shattered when the girl is killed in a hit-and-run accident. Unfortunately, it's not really a hit-and-run, as the person who is perpetrator of the accident returns for the body, only to realize that she is still alive. What happens next is gruesome, and it will come back to haunt him, literally. What follows is the resolution of this event and how the mother and perpetrator get into a confrontation. There's yet again a heavy witchy theme in this movie, as it did with Hellbender. The snow is also there, and there is a certain scene that seems to come back. Plenty of directors have their pet peeves they insert in movies. Tarantino has feet, Wu has birds, Cruise has running. It's a thing, and it's fine as long as it's not overdone. For these people it has not yet come to this, thankfully. The Deeper You Dig is a little bit less occult but a lot more paranormal than Hellbender. There's some effective gory scenes that are quite well done for an indie movie. The cinematography again is very well done and I really like their style. The acting is fine, better than most independent movies. It feels real, and that's what is most important. The Deeper You Dig isn't better than Hellbender, and that might be because I'm a little bit more inclined to like a satanic movie over a ghostly movie. But as it stands, it's pretty damn good. Give me more, I say. Give me more. Smash that. The Hatred is the third film from the Addams family I was able to see, and it's their fourth, or fifth based on certain sides, movie, and deals with a girl in the late 1800 Blackfoot territory. This being Indian territory in the Wild West, there's bound to be some violent stuff happening, and so we see a man being hung in a scene that looks eerily similar to a couple of scenes in both Hellbender and The Deeper You Dig, two of the other movies this family made. This deed, being witnessed by a girl, suddenly springs back to life, and together they decide to bring hell to those who have wronged them. Once again, all of this looks fucking cool, and that's not only cause of the clothes they wear and the stark contrasts between black and white in the cinematography. Zelda Williams, who played the main role in the other two movies I mentioned, is clearly younger in this film, but she does a mighty fine job acting in it. The mother isn't seen this time, or at least I didn't remember seeing her, but the dad, who played the bad man in Deeper, is now the angel of death as the resurrected corpse of the hung man. Once again it's very snowy, and once again it looks great. This movie is a lot more religious than the others, with character names such as hatred, vengeance, sloth, greed and others using scripts that sound almost, and sometimes are, biblical verses. Of course the paranormal is also present due to the fact a man gets resurrected and brings hell with him. This movie is only an hour long, however, but that's forgivable seeing that this is an independent movie. There also wasn't anything more left to be said by the end of the film, so I'm glad they didn't add any redundant padding. Smash that. Clive Barker's The Plague is another, you guessed it, Clive Barker horror movie that is slightly different from the usual BDSM body horror we know from Hellraiser and others. In The Plague, a mysterious illness affects every child in the world, leaving them in a deep coma for over a decade. Having them all spaz out at specific times makes the whole thing even more weird and creepier. With no more kids, the world is in shambles, until, on a certain day, they wake, and oh boy, wouldn't the world have wished they remained asleep. I don't know what Clive Barker tried to tell us with this story, but I'm sure that if this was remade in this era it would be full of messages about how bad parents are and that mums and dads are a thing to be disregarded. None of that here, thankfully. We have loving parents in agony about what is happening with their children, even when shit hits the fan. The Plague, much like other Barker movies, often feels like a long outstretched television episode and thus doesn't reach the quality we are accustomed to in movies, especially movies such as Hellraiser, which put Clive Barker on the cinematic map. The Plague has its creepy moments, but the body horror and gore is pretty tame in comparison with the other films. It's also a lot more science fiction-y due to whatever is happening in the film. The acting, with actors such as James Van Der Beek, is what you expect it to be. In many ways this feels like Stephen King's The Shining, but for the 2000s. King won't like to hear that, but who the hell cares, right? The Plague is an okay movie with a stupid name. This isn't a plague in my book, but hey, check that.